We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. You're listening to this on a Monday. It's being recorded Sunday night. We have Will with us today. Will always has some insights and brings a lot of passion to what's going on, and it's always great to hear from him. Have you had a pretty quiet weekend so far, or has it been a little crazy?
No, it's been a quiet weekend. Worked on Saturday and then Sunday. Today was just quiet. I mean, other than, you know, once in a while you got to get away from the news. It's like last week, I'm referring to it as another week. Every day is like purgatory in the United
Yeah.
States. And there was a week in purgatory this week. But, I mean, it's been more like, honestly, it's like we're watching something die violently and we're just trying to stay out of its way while he does it. But unfortunately, a lot of people are going to go down with it, and that's going to
Yeah.
be tough. I mean, a lot of innocent people are going to go down with it, but
Yeah,
we'll see
absolutely.
how it goes.
Well, the one thing we
Just
haven't talked
uh,
about, one thing we haven't, no, go ahead. What were you going to say?
no, I was going to say real quick, really quickly, if you guys are, because Mike did it, and I went ahead and played with my Google. If you want to send me a text, I sent up a text number to Google, 470, write it down, 470-236-2403. If you want to text me, reach out to me, you can hit me there. Um, I figured that if you have any questions or something you want me to cover, I have no problem doing that because, as you all know, I'm psychopathic and I will jump on anything. So that being
And
said,
and just so people I understand, I gave out a text phone number, and now Will's got a text number. These aren't our real phone numbers. These
oh
are
hell no,
apps that you can put on a thing. So you freaks that think that you're going to call me or call Will, it's not going to happen. You don't have to call me. All you have to do is send me a text and say you want to be on the show, and we can talk for an hour, hour and a half. So that's simple. We haven't talked since
last
the
Sunday.
circ last Sunday, right?
So
And it was prior to Pam Bondi putting on her little song and dance. And I got, it didn't surprise me that she answered no questions, but to me, it looked like she was absolutely terrified, flummoxed, fucking unhinged. How about you?
I from you and I who are old enough to remember watching the Watergate hearings. I
Yeah,
remember the Watergate hearings. Hell, I remember the Iran Contra hearings. Okay,
yeah,
when that came up, decorum has a certain thing. You don't have to answer a question. I don't recall. I'm sorry, I don't recall that. That's something that someone else handles. I mean, you could get pressed with questions, but what I saw was someone who's never, ever, ever been in a position of power where they got pressed.
no,
And
of course not.
never got pressed. She's never been in a position of power. Even when she was in Florida, her reaction to reporters questioning like was to be like DeSantis, lash out, go after the person like Trump does, because they don't have anything to say. I mean, Ron DeSantis got hammered the other day because someone accused him, well, truth, protecting Trump and his pedophilia. And he, instead of addressing it, he's screaming, get out, get out, get out. Guys screaming at him. That's what they do. And
Yeah,
that's what all Republicans do. But what she did, she took it to an art form, the burn book,
well,
the co. I just did a video. Said that's we just saw the ultimate carrot. The only thing missing was she wanted to call a manager. Oh, by the way, no, that's her boss. And it was
wait.
just it was ridiculous, totally ridiculous.
I was talking to my brother last night, and he and I have similar experiences with a narcissistic father, and
Mm-hmm.
our different separate experiences. And he said something that I tend to agree with. When you're talking to somebody in the situation like with Pam Bondi, when they start losing it, when they start attacking, that's when you know they've lost and they
Yeah,
know they've lost. So that's all they got left is to fight back. And that's what Donald Trump does all the time. So I mean, part of it too is she was so poorly prepared and so dumb that she was exposed for perjury right there, right then.
right.
because she committed perjury. She said, you know, we talked to the survivors and there we have an open door policy. And then they asked the survivors, is that true? No, they tried to dismiss us or ignore us. And she was
Right.
proven to commit perjury on that fucking very day.
And Aaron Parnas turned over. Aaron Parnas has been reading every freaking Epstein file. That man needs a break and some more new glasses. But the
Yeah.
one thing that he did is that he has been doing it from the standpoint, and one creator made a good comment, and I complimented him from it, for not from a political standpoint, from a victim standpoint. You know how they're not getting their justice, and that's what he's trying to do. And
Right.
today he brought up a point, and I'm seeing this starting to trickle out. There's a ran across an Epstein file because Bondi said in the hearing there is no evidence that Trump committed a crime. All right, that's when everyone's going. There's. She goes. He's mentioned all this, yeah, but there's no evidence. Apparently, one of the victims was interviewed by the FBI, who was about 13 to 15 years old, who described an encounter with Trump that was basically forced. I'm not even going to details; it's gross. But the point he's saying is that though there was a settlement with Epstein for the victims, and the only ones that got settled were the ones that were credible, possible charges, and this was one of them.
Well, there was something above that too. There was a settlement with Epstein, which makes it very interesting and suggests it was credible. But beyond that, there was a 302 form created
Mm-hmm.
by the FBI, and they wouldn't have done that unless they thought it was a credible complaint. So, is it absolute evidence that Donald Trump did it? No, but there's enough evidence that the FBI thought it was credible that they had to pay the girl off. There had to be a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, what would make sense is if you've got something like that, you've got the FBI saying it's credible. I would think that would warrant an investigation, maybe some depositions, maybe some bringing in of witnesses. But that's the problem here. We've got these things that anybody else brought under these circumstances would be a massive investigation, and it wasn't in this situation. And who can be blamed for that? Pam Bondi.
And well, this one goes back to 2019, and
Right.
apparently that statement or the 302 form you're talking about was filed 2 days before he supposedly hung himself
Oh,
in
really?
prison. And
Wow.
so that was the Trump won Justice Department. Okay. So the Trump won Justice Department, and one person, and I think this is a pliable, I don't know, I'm trying to remember who brought this up, but it's a pliable thing. Is that we were talking about, you and I last week, we're talking about, is this like a honey trap? Is this to catch all the rich people, politicians? But what this person's speculating, they don't have proof, but it makes logical sense, is that when Epstein was caught and convicted, they all knew. All those people that applied that are in the Epstein files knew they were fucked,
Yeah.
totally and absolutely fucked, because Epstein was, if he was going to go down, come on down. We're going to take everyone with us. So he has this demise, and what they're speculating is that what speculation is that the Trump and all the other people got together, and they just got it together and said, "Look, we just got to keep it down, keep it aside. We'll sell Maxwell to the wolves. We'll keep it all tapped down. No one's going to say anything. Not even because they expected Trump to still be president, and that's the one thing that they brought up too. That once Trump lost the election, man, they were panicked.
Yeah.
And it begins to wonder, he took classified files out of the White House. It always bothered me. Why do you need these classified files? Why do you need
Good
all these
question.
boxes? And a lot of these files vanished. There were
Yeah.
many files that were never recovered by the FBI. And you start putting two to two together. Look, is it the truth? No. But you start putting these pieces together, Why were they so desperate to take these files out of the White House? There you go. And the desperation for Trump to become president again was that once, if he lost that election, then he was going to be on. I think at that point, after the failure of Merrick Garland and everything, there was going to be a DOJ that's going to start ripping through everything, and that was the fear of everybody, and that's why they were so desperate for him to become president.
I think there was a lot of fear for him not being president and getting no control over those things. The thing that troubles me, people always say this. They'll say, well, the Bidens had it for 4 years and they did nothing about it. Now, part of that can be explained by the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell was being prosecuted, and a lot of that stuff was locked down, and you couldn't get to it anyway. But when you look at the Trump administration, you look at the Biden administration and the Trump administration, there was a lot of shuffling and slow walking through both administrations. And the only thing I can imagine as to why that would be is because rich white people with power get a pass. And they get passes from Democrats as well as Republicans. I think everybody wanted to keep this on the DL for a long time. But you know why it's not on the DL? There's only one reason why that this is happening right now. Is because Donald Trump himself implicates himself again. He's ranting and raving about it. QAnon's talking about it. And he says, yeah, that's right. We got to do this. He wasn't thinking ahead at all. I don't know if he didn't imagine he was going to win or if he didn't imagine that anybody was going to expose this stuff. But he fucked himself in this situation because Democrats weren't talking about the Epstein files.
No, they weren't. They weren't talking about the files. And, I mean, that's going to come out later on whenever anyone finally does that deep dive and why the Biden Justice Department said on that. You can take a part out of Ghislaine Maxwell, but a lot of this stuff dealt with some people outside of her.
Right.
Okay. And it's the frustrating for everybody. Okay. We know there is going to be no criminal charges. We know this because we see who did right now because of the DOJ, FBI. Hell, I mean, the FBI is not even investigating Renee Good and Alex Peretti. They stopped that. Why Minnesota isn't going after him, I have no idea. But
Minnesota is investigating it, and I think they have to wait until after Donald Trump's out of the way before they can actually do something. I don't really know what's going on. I know they aren't letting it go. They are investigating. There is no statute of limitations on murder. But first of all, I want to say about Jeffrey Epstein. Some people will say, why would he kill himself? He was a narcissist. Narcissists don't kill themselves, but then who would kill him? Let me remind folks, we have 6 million files out there with people's names all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was Jeffrey Epstein known for? Only second to being a child sex trafficker.
Financier, right?
No, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of what Howard Nutlick said. The most prolific blackmailer in the history of this country. So if you know all this information is out there and Jeffrey Epstein's in jail, he's a dangerous man to a lot of powerful people. So it's not surprising that he's either dead or spirited away someplace and hidden. I mean, he could have killed himself. That may have been something he would have done, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody had him killed. There's too much sketchy shit going on about the period of time when he died.
It's funny because I've been through my TikTok FYP. All of a sudden, I'm getting scenes from the movie Spotlight. And if you've never seen the movie Spotlight, was Best Picture about 6 to 7 years ago, and it was about the Boston Globe investigation into the abuse of Catholic priests' abuse of children. How they broke that led to the biggest settlement that led to a lot of people. They basically, because it's been going around, there were rumors where they kept paying people off. They basically tied everything up to the higher ends of the archdiocese, to the church itself. Okay, And but I'm watching them, listening to it, and a lot of the excuses they make for the priest and the power above is the same things we're hearing now. I just find it ironic. I hadn't even seen that in years, and all of it is popping up. And people are just kind of basically, that is a way of getting around. Apparently, there's problems with TikTok and using the word Epstein around it because you can't get around it. And you got to be stupid not to make that connection. Because that's the thing. People in power, for some reason, do this shit. And you have to remember, you remember about the trips that pedophiles would go to Thailand, those type of trips and all that.
Right.
I remember in
sex vacations.
yeah, I remember in the reading a book about federal. I forgot what was the name of the book, but it was talking about the United States Postal Service. I mean, they spent the 70s and 80s chasing down child pornography. It was huge. There was an international ring of that was broken in the 70s and 80s. This is not new. What's new is that it seems like all the big guys with money said, hey, not only can we get our kink on, we can make some money on the same way. And it just seems that way at this point.
Well, and I've
Just
said that
me.
about the Epstein thing. These are a bunch of big money people, including Donald Trump. And it's one thing to have a little secret club where they get to touch young kids. That's horrific enough as it is. But these people are all very prolific at making money. We know there was $1.5 billion in banks tied to Epstein. It does sound to me. My suggestion is that this was a business. Donald Trump was a partner in the business as well as some other folks. And this was a business to provide certain services to wealthy people that you can't buy in the open market. So they provided these services, fucking crazy shit, from abusing kids to killing kids to torturing kids. That's all in the Epstein files. I'm not making that shit up. But it
No,
was
it's
a
in there.
business to provide them. Because, if you blackmail somebody and that's the only way you make money, you really only can do it a couple times.
Exactly.
If you're providing a service, they're back every week, every month, every 6 months. The videos and the pictures and the documents, for me, was like insurance.
Right.
Somebody gets out of hand, somebody gets caught, they better keep their mouth shut because I got all these videos of you. I think it was more insurance than that blackmail was the main thing.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for them in that whole situation is that those were smart men involved in that. Let's be honest. Okay,
Yeah,
I know it's hard to talk to them in a manner's way. But the one man involved that wasn't smart, who had a big mouth, was Trump.
absolutely.
And that's the thing. And he already had a reputation for who he was. And I think, honestly, if Epstein hadn't gotten Trump, they would have been moving on Trump because he has a big fucking mouth. And you want an example of the big fucking mouth and being an asshole? There were rumors that the French and the Germans had released all the files. That was wrong. What the story is, the French and the Germans are hardcore investigating people because if there were crimes committed on their soil, doesn't matter where you are, they're going to chase you down, and other countries are starting to start up. Now, the reason that the Europeans and the EU seems to be really hardcore of that, because they're thinking, if we have evidence that Donald Trump did something in one of these countries, we are fucking coming for him because he pissed off the entire EU. They want him bad. And to top it all off, I saw Marco Rubio's act yesterday talking to European leaders, and he didn't talk about alliances. He's talking about the great replacement theory, telling them, hey, don't bring these migrants in, or you're going to end up, your cultures are getting destroyed. And they're looking around going, who the fuck is this fool?
Yeah.
The thing about it is, and I keep seeing stories people, well, Europe, Trump says Europe loves you. No, man, dude, Europe can't stand you. They couldn't stand you from Trump 1, and they really don't like you now. Okay? They know what you are. And if they got an opportunity to looking through all these files and they're not redacted and they're going to be pretty serious about it, if they find one of these guys and it happened on their soil, they're coming. And by the way, Howard, and this is the sad thing about where we're at, okay? There are powerful men across the world who have resigned, who are in trouble in Europe, across the world. Cassie Wasserman had to, give up his
he had to sell his management agency.
management company, but he's still part of the IOC in Los Angeles. That's going to end. He's in trouble. The guy who started Victoria's Secret, he's in trouble. Pressure's on him. There's pressures on a lot of people in the private sector. But fucking Howard Lutkin is still holding his job. And they're all supporting him. They're right behind him. The
only reason they're doing that is because Donald Trump supports him, because Donald Trump's a dumb fuck and he doesn't, he's not going to bend and he's not going to admit anything. So Lutnick, Pam Bondi should be fired. Pete Hegseth should be fired.
Oh, I know that.
Kash Patel should be fired, but they're never going to get fired because Donald Trump, like I said with Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi's supposed to answer questions and be the attorney general. Donald Trump's not going to fire her because she did exactly what he wants her to do, and that's cover this shit up.
Also, who's going to replace him with? Did you see that freaking toad they dragged out to be part of the State Department international program to associate? I don't know what the fuck it was. And he's a white supremacist, and he's trying to explain white American culture. And I'm listening to that going, you can't explain it. You know what? You can't explain it? Because it fucking really doesn't exist. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I know this makes you guys really uncomfortable, okay? But America culture is so woven in. Everyone that came from somewhere else. Just to remind you, these were colonies of Britons brought to the United States, and they changed their culture here. Right. And it became something else. But each state had their own culture. And then you had slaves that brought in. Then they had other people who worked. Things happen when you have relationship with other races. They talk about they should have done it like they did at Ellis Island. What are you fucking talking about? They just took everybody. Yeah. They just dropped them in New York. All right. And that changed American culture. It always does. And to listen to that guy talking about black churches and black food, I'm going, what the fuck are you? And he's done. Now Trump is standing behind him, but he's done. He's not getting out of the committee. Period.
Not even the Republicans can support him at this point.
No, and that's why they can't fire anyone, because the Senate's not going to approve anybody. They got burned. RFK, I think, was the last straw with that. And dear God Almighty, the world has changed so much. When a man admits snorting cocaine off a toilet bowl and is Secretary of Health Human Services, and I heard that, I'm going, and he still has a job. He was nominated. We knew about this weird shit, but he's like, I'm germ free because I snorted coke off a fucking toilet lid. I mean, I'm like going.
How does he think that's a flex?
Because no one calls him on it. The minute he got out of committee, where the senator from Louisiana, the doctor, was it Bill Cassidy? I believe it was Bill Cassidy. Did it, and now he has regrets. Motherfucker, you're a doctor, a scientist, a man of science, and you knew this was fucked up, but you went with your political views. This is what we got. Dear God Almighty.
That's a problem with Cassidy. Cassidy came out and had misgivings about RFK Jr. and had questions and thought it was silly, but he still bent the knee. So he went against his own better judgment to approve RFK Jr. just to please Donald Trump. And he needs to be held accountable for that. Don't tell me you're a respected doctor, because if you approved RFK Jr., you proved you're not. There was something else in the file. I mean, I sit and wait for people to read the files and tell me what's going on, because I'm not going to read
because I can't do files. I hear you. I can't do it, man. I can't. Oh, God.
But there was a story how Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon were going back and forth in
Oh,
email.
we need to bring his motherfucking ass out in the light. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, keep in mind, Epstein is Donald Trump's best friend. Regardless of what anybody says, he was the best friend. Steve Bannon was probably his most trusted advisor. And in this email, they were talking about how they were going to take people down like Chi and like Pope Francis. How in the fuck do they think they're going to do that? These people have delusions of grandeur.
And no one's and all the names that are out there. People don't bring up Steve Bannon's name shows up in a lot of places here. He
Yeah.
was working Epstein. I don't know if he was part of the tidbits. I get the feeling he swings the other way, personally, because he seems like that type. But no one brings it up because I think he handled a lot of money, a lot of
Yeah.
transactions, political movements, how we can use this for everyone. It was, yeah, no one's, his name has kind of gotten lost in the clouds. We need to remind everyone of that, with that guy.
Well, Steve, people have to understand with Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was in the thick of it with Donald Trump in his first administration. While he may not be in the administration now, you know he's got Donald Trump's ear, but he's all over the Epstein files. That
Yes.
creepy looking fuck's all over the Epstein files. If anybody should go down with it, he's among the top of the people that should go down. You said something earlier that nobody's going to be prosecuted for this. And I would
Not in
disagree with
America.
you too. Well, yeah, I disagree in one respect. Now, in
Okay.
terms of the actual crimes in the case, it's hard to say what the statute or limitations are. And I'm okay just exposing them and ruining their life. If that's all we can do, I'm happy to do that. But there are going to be some people who are prosecuted because of the Epstein files. That is Pam Bondi and Kash Patel for the
Right.
cover up. The cover up is the big problem. There's plenty of time to prosecute them, and I think they will spend some time in court
And
and probably some time in jail.
just a quick note on statute of limitations. Do you remember when Trump went to jail for his not jail, but went for the what he did with the reporter? And I just drew a blank on her name, and I hate when my mind does that. That happened like in the 90s, but
Yeah,
in the state of New York, the statute of limitations start when the crime is discovered. So it was discovered, so they had a 5-year mark to go after him. So if anything that they did happened in the state of New York and they turn that over, it's a state crime. Statute of limitations start when they discover the crime.
right.
So that, and I think a lot of the international guys are so they want to expose all this because there are a lot of their own people did shit, and they
Yeah,
don't want that hanging over here. They don't want to be honest. They don't want to be us.
right.
They don't
You
want to
know,
look like us. And it's a
there,
sad
there.
fact to say what that right now.
There's one fact that I think people need to understand. We keep hearing about, did they go to the island? Did they not go to the island? What happened on the island? There was a lot of horrible shit that went on in that island, but that's not the only location. There was
Yes.
bad shit going on in New York at his house in New York, where he lived next door to Nutlick. There was stuff going on in Florida, where he had a home near Mar-a-Lago and was
Mm-hmm.
trading girls with Mar-a-Lago. He had a ranch in New Mexico that they're finding out some horrible shit there. I mean, we're hearing about bodies being buried at his place in New Mexico. We're hearing about bodies being buried at Donald Trump's golf courses. It wasn't just the island where the problems were. These crimes were committed any number of places. And there's talk in these emails about Donald Trump hosting similar parties in some of his
Yep.
situations. I mean, everybody assumes that, well, Epstein had his problem, but Mar-a-Lago is just a resort. Let's understand who's at this resort. Donald Trump and all his oligarch buddies.
Yep.
Does it make any sense that they did it at Epstein's and not at Mar-a-Lago? I find that hard to believe.
No, I find it hard to believe because that there's just so much that was let slide because people have
Yeah.
money,
Right.
and they're in for all those the women victims and all that who are just sitting there just want justice, and they don't want to put their asses out online because, well, they know their consequences. I mean, Thomas Massey, who's been the number one Republican going after him, I saw that little statement he had. Yeah, I'm fine. My heart doesn't have any problems. I don't have bad balance. And I'm reading it going, what do you say? Oh, okay. If something bad happens to me, understand, take a look at it. Um,
When he said I'm not suicidal, I can swim, there's no deep
yeah,
water on my land, all that sort of stuff. I think some people thought it was a jab at Donald Trump and maybe sarcastic. And as far as I can tell, that's not the case. And what you have to
no,
understand is anybody who's spoken ill of Donald Trump, from judges to politicians to uh, anybody, they've always been pelted with death threats.
right.
And if anybody's in line for some serious death threats, it's Massey. He's a Republican. He's going against Donald Trump. He wants to expose the Epstein files. And I don't necessarily think these threats are coming just from the Trump camp. There are
No,
other oligarchs with a lot of money who are just saying, "Shut the fuck up." So Thomas Massey is seemingly taking a pounding with these threats, but I will give him credit about one thing: he's not backing down at all.
no. I mean, he's in for a penny, in for a pound. He knows once he went down that road, backing out is not an option. It's not
No,
an option. It won't. Um, and also, the behavior of the Republican Party to this whole thing. You saw that at the hearing where they wouldn't ask her any questions, um, except for Massey. You've seen Republicans go out of their way to protect Trump, and they think that people aren't going to notice. People are noticing, and they're not happy. I guess there was a Republican headquarters that someone vandalized last night. Put
oh really?
pedophile protectors in big red letters across their headquarters. I forgot to say. I think I want to say Allegheny. I'm probably wrong, but that's the thing. It's not working for them. They think it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. No, you gave them what they want. Now they're realizing you won't stand up for what it is. They're not saying convict people. You need to ask questions and they protect. It doesn't look good. It's a bad look, but they
Yeah.
think they can get away with it, and it's not. And that's the hardest thing for them right now, for Republicans to wrap their heads around, is that what they're doing right now is not going to work for the midterms. It's
No,
not.
all any Democrat has to do, any one of these people, Jim Jordan, whoever's running for reelection, all they have to do is say, "Yeah, but you're a pedo protector," because they
Yeah,
are.
that's
The,
and
you trying
they
to
already
hide
said
the
it.
files? Why are you trying to hide the files? And they can't answer that question.
And also, your president is not only a alleged pedophile and adjudicated rapist. We know
Yeah.
this. Look at the New York court. But also, he's just
Well, he
he's
acknowledged
a
he
racist. He's a racist that he put out a video of the Obamas in the worst possible thing. And as one guy said, that's going to should be on every ad for Democrats across the midterms. This is what you're
absolutely.
supporting.
He's also acknowledged and confessed to the fact that he sexually assaults women in the
Yeah,
Access Hollywood tape. I mean, so he's admitted to it. He's been adjudicated a rapist. He's been um, accused dozens of times, and now these Epstein files are coming out with um, maybe not the hard evidence in the sense of a picture, but I still think that's coming. But all of these things in there. I mean, if it smells like shit and it looks like shit, it must be Donald Trump.
right. I mean, because he can't. And did you see that stupid list that they sent out? Yes, these are all the redacted names. Oh, I don't know. Janis Joplin's been dead way before Epstein.
But
Michael
what they did,
Jackson. Did you see?
yeah,
I mean, you got to think, how stupid are we, guys?
Elvis Presley's in it. You know,
Yeah.
this is just, oh, you want all the names? I'll give you all the names. And then and just to make it more confusing. So any name that was referenced in the files, they put it out there. You know, they had said Elvis Presley and they might have said, you know, I like Elvis's movie, Roustabout. And then Elvis's name would come out. There were a lot of people who were mentioned in the files, but weren't really part of the files. Um, but there were a lot of oligarchs, wealthy people that weren't on that list. They even redacted that list, you know, not physically, but they just didn't include the names. You can't trust anything that comes out of the Trump administration because it's always a lie. It's always a cover up. And Pam Bondi, I got to tell you, if I'm Donald Trump, I'd be a little nervous about Pam Bondi. That bitch looks like
Oh,
she's going to break at some point, and when she does, it's going to get very ugly. If I could sit with her in a room for an hour, I bet I could break her because she
yeah.
would freak the fuck out.
Yeah. And the thing about it's like, that's another reason probably they want to fire Lutkin because he's got goods. I find it hard to believe a man who was associated with Epstein doesn't have a nice safe with shit in it in case something happens to him. But the
Yeah,
ironic thing is that this, you know, like this, you've seen the woman named Stella, her videos. So
Stella
she did a
Mags, yeah,
Pam
she's
Bondi video.
awesome.
Yeah. So on her video, I just put in I just said, hey, uh, to Pam Bondi, remember, John Mitchell went to jail,
Right?
Nixon didn't, and she took my comment and made a video on it,
Oh
which
wow, great.
I'm going great, and but she said, yeah, and she was just saying that you don't get it. They're going to toss you under the bus. And one person just before we came on, I was saying, if you notice, they have a lot of women in the cabinets, but these are women on precarious um, balance right now.
Yeah.
Bondi, Nome, they're going to get tossed under the bus first. Hey, Cash, you're going too, because you're brown, boy. And I say it straight up, and all the connotations, they will toss you under the bus. And
Well, and
you have
the
no
thing
connections. You're done.
the thing about it is that everybody says, yeah, well, they'll just pardon. He'll just pardon them. And my response to that is, yeah, I'm not so sure. There's a couple of things to consider. First of all, if Donald Trump has somebody that gets burned to the ground, if he pardons them, he's putting himself right in the mix, and he usually likes
Yes.
to separate himself from that sort of thing. Secondly, he's going to expect something in return, and if you have somebody whose life and career has just burned down, they have nothing to give him. And
Mhm.
thirdly, is he going to be in a position to do it? I mean, you know how long it took him to do January 6th pardons. So if I'm Pam Bondi or some of these other people expecting to be pardoned, I would talk to some of those fucking people that have been disappointed and felt thrown under the bus by Donald Trump, because
Right.
that's what's going to happen. If Pam Bondi burns to the ground, he's going to want to separate himself as much as he can, and he's not going to pardon her or anybody else like that.
And the hardest thing to watch that touch on that one last time is that wasn't the behavior of a professional lawyer or professional adjudicator. That was a cult member. That's what we saw. We
Yeah, you
saw
would
her.
think
Yeah.
somebody who's a lawyer that has been the Attorney General of Florida, now the Attorney General of the United States of America, like you said, it's real easy to avoid answering questions. I don't recall. I'm not sure. I don't recall. But she couldn't do that. She got angry and she attacked. You know, she said stupid things like she was asked about the victims, and she went off on a tangent about the stock market being
Stock
over
market.
fifty
Yeah.
thousand.
Oh God.
I mean, that was something that made her look very stupid, and even Republicans are looking at her and go, "The fuck was that?" I mean, I'm not mad at her. You know, the Republicans are saying, I'm not mad at her about covering up because that's the deal. That's what we do. But she did it so fucking badly. She's the attorney general of the country, and she doesn't even do a good job of lying and covering things up.
But the thing about it's like, as everyone said, and you said it earlier, she was there for an audience of one. Trump's response
Yeah.
to him. I love her. She did, and that's what he wanted to see. He wanted to see loyalty to the extreme at the expense of yourself.
And
And that's what she did.
what he wants to see is exactly what you did. He wants these people to be a fighter, yell and scream at him, push back, because that's what he would do. What he doesn't understand is it diminishes the credibility of this person by behaving the way she did, not only by Democrats, but Republicans too.
Yes.
But that's Donald Trump's strategy. So he expects all these people to do it. And she knows that. She knows if she wants to stay in favor with Donald Trump, she's got to go out there and fight and do whatever, which
And
has always
also,
troubled me. Lawyers are constantly doing what Donald Trump says, even though they know better than that.
yeah,
I don't
and they end
understand
up
that.
and they end up getting tossed under the bus. Look,
Disbarred.
yeah, this is a shit show that is going to continue for a while. They think it's going to go away. It's not going away.
No.
And eventually it's going to catch up with him. But in ways that he doesn't like. Okay, because they can't stop lying. They can't stop. Um, they can't stop trying to cover up. And the biggest one you can see right now, other than the Epstein files, because it gets lost in all this, is the economy. So
Right.
they finally had job reports after 2 months of nothing. Okay, because the first job reports was back in what, September or October, the one that they fired
Yeah.
the BLS head. Okay, so they hired a new person to handle the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that is an economist from the Heritage Foundation. He's a fucking hack. He's a
Yeah.
conservative economist. In other words, he makes the math work for their vision of America and what he wants. I remember when he was hired, they had all those freaking charts that made no
Right.
sense. They had colors. Trump liked the colors. They were cute. I remember holding that. He held up. I'm going, that, what? Anyway, so January comes out. Now, we've been hearing for the last 3 months layoffs, hundreds of thousands of layoffs. Amazon, UPS, Ford, GM. The layoffs coming into January had topped out at 600,000 layoffs. And now you come up with a labor report and tell us that the economy created 138,000 jobs.
That makes no
Uh,
sense.
the math doesn't math. I
Well,
made
here's
this
the
comment to
thing.
one guy who came out who seems to be conservative, and I said the math doesn't math, and he said, "Yeah, well, I don't see anything wrong in the statistical report I read, dude. It counts what you put into the report and how you evaluate it."
Well,
Jeez.
the thing about it is like you're saying, they say they have 138,000 new jobs in January. Now, toward the end of Biden's term, he had a jobs report of over 140,000. But remember, he also created 15 million jobs during his term.
Right.
When that amount of 140, 145,000 came out, Donald Trump said that was weak, and it was bad, and it shows that Biden's dying. So he's now excited about this 138,000. And like you said, I don't know how that works, because 138,000 jobs in January, but we also know January had more layoffs than in 2009 at the
Yeah.
Great Recession. So, like you say, the math doesn't math. But I'll give you one more fact that people have to understand. While let's just say it's true, and you can't believe anything coming out of the Trump administration. Let's just say it's true. He got 138,000 jobs in January. Okay. Um, for the year, he's minus 48,000 jobs for the year
Right.
and a total. So 130,000 jobs that brings you to 48,000 in the whole is not quite that impressive. Of course, you won't hear that from the Republicans or Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's been an absolute failure with regards to jobs at this point. And on top of it, he's creating record amounts of layoffs.
Right, because of the tariffs, which he still thinks are working. And here's the thing: the biggest tell on this bullshit. And again, with this guy that I didn't get into it with, but didn't acknowledge it because he was trying to kind of cover for Trump, is when jobs reports come out and they're plus, usually the stock market takes a bump. That was the day after Bondi's testimony that she talked about the 50,000 points.
Right.
That came out and the stock market took a hit all the way down the line.
Yeah.
Why? Because people who really know what's going on, who really can evaluate statistics and numbers, said this is bullshit and reacted to it. They know it's bullshit, but they keep selling it because Trump he needs to know that it's all positive news. The tariffs are killing people. It's not working. You're not creating jobs. And look, the wheels haven't fallen off the bus yet. You keep talking about the 401k and the stock market. Yeah, that's fine because we lay off people. That's profits that come back. But eventually it's going to blow up in your face. And if the AI shit blows up, which is a good possibility, then you're really in trouble because they're comparing that to the .com shit from the 90s at this point.
Right. Let me make this analogy. I don't even know if this is a good analogy, but the economy is going to shit. So you get layoffs, and that kind of buoys it back up and kind of holds it steady. But eventually, you're not going to be able to do layoffs anymore. It's kind of like having a reserve gas tank in your truck. And if you have to dip into the reserve tank, okay, that's good. You can keep going at full level. And you dip in again and you dip in again. Eventually, that reserve tank is done and you're stalled on the right side of the road. You can fake it and kind of push up these numbers a little bit with the layoffs and such. But eventually, it's going to come to a breaking point, and then the fucking floor is going to fall out.
Yeah, and they're not prepared for the floor to fall out. Not
No,
this group. Oh hell no. And and I'm this is they keep selling that lie and the other lies keep piling up every day. The incompetency of this fucking administration is ridiculous. I the whole thing with El Paso, closing El Paso for 10 days, all of a sudden, um, that Sunday morning last week. And you find out it's because Pete Hesketh lent the, the Border Patrol a laser and they shot a fucking party balloon. They shut it down. Why are you giving CPP a laser? I mean, you can't even talk about all this shit. And then it comes to what's going to go happen with the midterms. And we're watching them really thrash about with the midterms. And it's all tied to not only the economy. Let's talk about the biggest fucking challenge they have right now, whether they like it or not, or are trying to hide it. ICE.
yeah,
Okay, the customs that enforcement is not. It's not a police force. It's a goon squad. We know what it is. But you keep
right.
trying to sell it to us. Tom Homan was on Face the Nation. Don't want the mask off. We're trying to protect Minneapolis. We're trying to do this. No, guys, you're not getting. This is an ethnic cleansing squad. We know this. Okay. Now you have fooled the good amount of white Republicans, white folk, that you're trying to protect them from the brown folk. Okay. So Democrats finally figure out a way to they're trying to put the brakes on ICE. They got funding. They have no funding right now. They're doing everything without pay. Now,
Right.
a lot of these guys are true fucking believers, and they'll do that without pay. They were doing this shit without pay before, i.e., white supremacists. But eventually, it's going to blow up, and TSA is going to get caught, and then the airlines are going to get caught, and that's where the rubber meets the road. Democrats. But what the Democrats are asking for, they're not giving them abolish ICE. They know that's not going to work. What they're asking them is basically make them law. You want law enforcement? Great. Standards. No mask. Badges. Uniforms that match. Um, no administrative orders, judicial warrants. All the things that a normal law enforcement agency has to follow. And with oversight. And all the Republicans are saying no. They went home rather than deal with it
Right.
because they think that as this, because they're gone for 10 days. Why the fuck you're taking a vacation for 10 days? Anyway, I mean, that's great. That's a great gig. It's a great gig. I don't know how you do it and get paid. But it's nothing's going to be talked about. And Republicans are thinking, okay, so everyone's going to start to get upset. They're going to scream. And then Democrats are going to roll over. I heard Chuck Schumer talk about it today. He still sounds pathetic. And
Yeah.
I don't trust him. But they're standing their ground. And I just think they might have got a deal with Trump or the Republicans till they threw out that Obama fucking video. At that
Right.
point, I think Hakeem Jeffries said, fuck you. Even he cannot go through this. And
Yeah.
it's not going to work for them because they keep working on these culture, because it's all tied to the midterms. Let's be honest. They are fucking afraid because they have seen what the special elections have done. They see that a lot of people are not listening to the message. That the Gestapo, the people are upset, very upset about it. The videos from Minneapolis, they have basically done a media blackout of Minneapolis. They have. It's very
Yeah.
hard to see what's going up in there, but it's still going on. I thought one of the most moving things that almost made me cry are the people who stand outside the Whipple building all night waiting for people who are get released in the cold with nothing from the Whipple building and come out with clothes and everything to help them out and
Right.
psychological help.
Well, I will say this: all the reports of the drawdown by Tom Homan from Minneapolis. Um, I don't know how serious he is or if he's going to lie because he's certainly capable of that. We haven't seen any drawdown here. He said it
No,
would be the end of this past week into the early next week. There has been no drawdown. If in fact they do pull people out of here, I think part of it has to do with the fact that it's not making as much news as it was before. And Donald Trump needs that attention in the news. Even if it's bad publicity, he doesn't give a shit. Um, but the drawdown hasn't happened as yet. And if they think people of Minnesota will just get comfortable with what's going on, they aren't. They're going to be happy
no,
until they're fucking gone. And Minnesota
they're
is going to keep pushing back.
and that's the thing. They keep pushing back. And I'm going to ask this question because someone laid out that right now there is this. You're like here in Georgia, your state legislature is in session. You're like us in Georgia. You don't have legislature all year, just a certain amount of
Right.
days. Ours is 40. Um, they said that the Senate is a one-seat majority for Democrats. The House is split right down the middle.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And so I heard a Republican the other day because they had the Republican AG down in Washington, and Josh Hawley was fucking pissing all over him about fraud,
Oh,
fraud, fraud, fraud.
you're talking about Ellison. That's the Democratic
Ellison,
AG from Minnesota. All right.
yeah, Minnesota, and they were pissing all over him about fraud, fraud for this, fraud, fraud that. And I'm listening to him going, and one of the things Holman said today in the Face of the Nation, when they pull out, they're going to leave a few people behind to investigate the so-called fraud that brought him there. Okay, that's not your job, ICE.
Oh, why
That's
is
not your
ICE
job.
investigating fraud?
But that came because your Speaker of the House hired Nick Shirley to do some dirt because she was going to run, or maybe she's still running for governor of Minnesota.
I will say this. Yeah, she's at fault. Um, what's her name again? She's running for governor. She's not going to win. Fucking Amy Klobuchar will kick everybody's ass, but she's running. I will tell you, it was. I don't think she came up with the idea. I think Donald Trump contacted the Republicans and said, "Find some dirt." And that's the best they could do. Something that happened 6 or 7 years ago, something where 90 to 100 people have already been prosecuted and convicted. And they tried to make it a big thing, give them a reason to come in here. But again, ICE agents are about the border. It's not about fraud at
Yeah.
all. If ICE agents are going after fraud, then it goes back to what you said before. Then you're going to need to make them law enforcement because they're not law enforcement.
They're not law
And then they're
enforcement.
going to have to follow some fucking rules.
And this is a state problem. It's
Yeah.
state money, not federal money. I know this. And the thing about it is, the question I had, and I did a video of this, to Minnesotans, okay? Hey, guys, you have a split house with Democratic governors kind of been a shield. If you don't follow the blue wave, if you get Republicans in that place, you're fucked. You'll be Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Wisconsin.
No.
Okay? And the thing about it, how can a Republican run right now in Minnesota supporting any kind of immigration and ICE?
I
Explain to
think
me how they can do that.
I think some Republicans are in trouble. The one I'm particularly interested in, he's not my representative, but he's a representative in an area which I used to live in, is Tom Emmer. And I think he is the sorriest, stupidest piece of shit that I've ever heard of. And there's a Democrat running against him by the name of Doug Chapin. And I'm going to reach out to Doug Chapin. I say, you want to come on my show, maybe help you fundraise or whatever? Because I want Tom Emmer to fucking lose because he's a big Trump humping piece of shit. He was the one they wanted to put up for the Speaker of the House, and he couldn't get the votes to get the Speaker of the
Right.
House.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking loser. I told my wife, I said, if we were in that district, I have no interest in running for any political position, but I would run against that motherfucker just to get him in a room to debate him because it's time
Right.
somebody put these motherfuckers' feet to the fire.
Didn't he have a town hall? Because that name's familiar. That he did some town hall that didn't go well for him. Again,
I don't think any Republican has a town hall that goes well, but yeah, I think it did. And he's kind of an arrogant fuck. He's a big time Trump humping. He's a former hockey player. Now, I'm not trying to besmirch hockey players because I have many friends that are hockey players, and some of them are very smart that I know, and a lot of them are dumb motherfuckers. And he is the epitome of a dumb hockey player, is what he is.
I mean, we got this football player trying to run for governor, football coach again trying to run for governor down here. So
Yeah.
stupid is as stupid does. But I just thought about how can right now a lot of Republicans are just down on the ICE thing, they're down on the culture thing. I was reading through the New York Times that now because they can't do anything about the border, it's the anti-Muslim thing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Sharia law is coming for everybody, especially in Texas, because if you put up a mosque, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I mean, it's like you keep forgetting the Constitution. The reason that you're picking up people, that you're going after people in Minnesota with ICE, because they're doing their constitutional rights. That's why Renee Good is dead. That's why Alex Peretti is dead. Because you guys, the First Amendment is good for you, but not for us.
I would say this: if you're upset about a mosque being put up because the Muslims will take over, should we then have the right to feel that if you put up an evangelical church, that our kids are going to get raped? Same fucking deal.
I
At least
know.
there's
And
more
it's
evidence of it with the evangelicals.
and it's sad because this is all they got. That's what they're doing. I was reading that whole thing. They found some people are upset. Cool, we can work that. And then some of their polling is that a lot of primaries, becoming primary guys, yeah, we're worried about them Muslims in our neighborhood. Okay, I'm sorry, you don't care about the economy, uh, uh, you know, anything that really matters to people, healthcare, raising the minimum wage, all that. No, you feed on people's stupid fears, and
Well,
I
everything,
don't. And it's
everything,
ridiculous.
everything they're doing is out of desperation. They're just grabbing anything that they can try to exploit. And the positive side of that for me is that when they're in desperation mode, like they are right now, grabbing onto Muslims or whatever they're going to cry about, um, they're desperate. They know they're losing. And when they start flailing like this, they make stupid mistakes. And we're seeing it every day right now, just whether it be Pam Bondi or Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson stood up yesterday and was saying, yeah, I think we're going to get the majority back in the House because of all the great things we did in Congress. Well, what great
What you
things have
do?
you done in Congress? Yeah, what did you do? You passed the big, beautiful bill, big fucking deal. people don't understand how they're getting fucked in that deal. Certainly not Republicans. But Mike Johnson is just spewing the party line, and it's so wrong and just an absolute lie. And he can do it with a straight look on his face. It's fucking amazing.
Well, because they know that they deal with their constituents, and their constituents are just their cult members. They're defending the indefensible right now. All of
Right.
them are. All of them are. And but here in Georgia, because I read, I mean, I got the HGC because of politics, and I'm reading it and I'm going, Republicans still think that Donald Trump means something here. He endorsed the lieutenant governor to run for governor, and he thinks that's a good thing. He endorsed someone in the 14th district, Marjorie Taylor Greene's old district. They think that means that they're running to get Trump's approval, and they're running on the same bullshit that they worked before, all the woke agenda, DEI,
No.
anti-immigrant. But I just can't see it working here. I mean,
No.
in the legislators, they had a bill about finances, about health, because they're trying to get people affordability for health, a different program. And someone slides in an amendment, yeah, but except for transgender children. And the Democrats are going, what does this have to do with this? That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with this. And that's what they do because it's all performative. And don't get me started about Tennessee. That's a fucked up place.
You
And
know, one of your senators, John Ossoff, who I like,
oh,
who's running for reelection, and he should have no problem winning the fucking clowns he's up against. But John Ossoff said something, and it really struck home with me because we always talk about how Democrats aren't good with messaging. And John Ossoff said something that is perfect messaging that everybody in the Democratic Party should employ. And he was talking about the wealthy class and the middle class and all that stuff. And he referred to them as the Epstein class.
Epstein class.
And that makes a lot of sense. We should tie Epstein to everything. If you're a Republican, if you're a wealthy oligarch, you're the Epstein class. Attach them to Epstein at every fucking turn. And that is a good messaging
Oh,
strategy.
yeah, he's good. There's no way. They keep saying it's going to be close. No, it's not. It's not going to be fucking close. That's why they're working so hard to get into Fulton County because they want to take over the Fulton County elections.
Right.
That is not going to work because it's based on old shit. But they're so desperate because they keep. I'm reading this and going, do you really? They're not reading the room, okay?
No.
And then other people that aren't reading the room, and I said this a couple of days ago. I saw a creator today talking about Amy Klobuchar, saying that Amy Klobuchar is not popular because she didn't show up in Minnesota on the streets, that she's hanging out with the mayor, that she's not doing much, that she needs to refurbish her image. And I keep hearing this, and I'm hearing like all of a sudden the progressive left wing, not progressive, the far left wing has popped out of the fucking holes that they went into after the election, okay, and complaining about corporate Democrats. The parties are the same. I'm hearing this bullshit again, okay? And I heard that girl go, what's your choice? You're going to put a
Yeah.
Republican in there? Okay, the Republican Party is tainted. Like you said, Epstein class. They don't care about Americans on the ground. They care about power and money. Well, Democrats do, some do, but even those who still put out more than Republicans do, and we can deal with that later.
I don't
But
know who
it's
was talking.
ridiculous.
I don't know who was talking shit about Amy Klobuchar. And there's some things I'm not as happy with Amy Klobuchar as maybe some other people. But I will tell you this: as somebody who actually lives in Minnesota, I'm pretty much the same age as Amy Klobuchar. I've been around the whole time she's been in politics. People in Minnesota love Amy Klobuchar. And people, even Republicans, are having misgivings about what's going on in this state. So you're going to get a lot of Republicans either not vote or they're going to vote for Amy Klobuchar. The idea that Amy Klobuchar is going to have a difficult time running against Mike Lindell, motherfucker, please. There's already been two Republicans that were going to run for governor that have backed out. One guy is a guy named Jensen. He's a Trump humper. He's a dentist. He's run before and he's lost. Other guy, his daughter got shot by her boyfriend. He dropped out. Anybody who thinks Amy Klobuchar isn't going to win that fucking election, first of all, Amy wouldn't jump from the Senate where she's in office until 32 to take the governor's election and not think she has an absolute dead to rights win there. She's going to win. And anything anybody whines about, they can shut the fuck up because, like you say, the alternatives are fucking Republican goofs.
And that's the thing. It's like in her video, the comments, one person is going, "Yeah, I'm going to write in Jesse Ventura." Look, fuckers. Look, guys. And I mean, and then what set me off is I'm watching the I Had It podcast. Yeah, I know you have a hard on for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I get it. Chuck Schumer is devoted to Israel. I get all his faults. Okay. I get the corporate Democrats' faults. But she had on a couple of far left guys, one of them being of Arab descent. Okay. So she threw out the idea, at the presidential level. In 28, who are you going to vote for? J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom? And so one guy who's like, he cuts me, he goes, "Well, Gavin Newsom." The other guy goes, "Third party." And I'm looked at her and she goes, "Why?" "Well, it's because like I did with Kamala Harris, she didn't come across right and she was involved in really bad things. Let me make this clear, okay? You people," and he says, "and it's not my fault that she lost the election." Yes, it is. "And it's your fault that Palestine is a fucking rubble, that they're killing people still at a fucking level you wouldn't believe, that Trump and Jared Kushner already have plans to rebuild that for an oligarch Epstein class resort, okay?
Yeah.
And you don't bring your fucking Rosa, the actress, Rosie Perez. Well, I didn't get what was going with Kamala Harris. I didn't know why I should vote for her. Because she's not Trump.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well,
this evaluation I hear pissing me off.
Well, if I was sitting with somebody and they said, "I'm not voting for whoever, I'm voting third party," I would say, "Who's that candidate? Who's the third party candidate?" Because there is no third party candidate at this point. The woman from the Green thing, she hasn't won in 20 years. If you want to do a protest vote, go the fuck ahead. But understand when this is all over, the people that are going to get retribution and that are going to be shamed and shunned are the Republicans, certainly. But those people that sit on their asses or vote third party, you're just as complicit with what's going on now as anybody else. And if I was in this podcast and I was debating a Republican or somebody who voted third party, they would get the same treatment. I would kick their ass in both situations because you're responsible. I mean, let's see who's responsible for Donald Trump winning 2024. He didn't get that much more votes than he did in 2020. Okay. Kamala got about 9-10 million short of what Biden got. So that means 9 or 10 million Democrats either voted third party or sat on their asses. If they aren't responsible for Kamala losing, I don't know who the fuck is.
And I don't want to talk about, it's really clear, okay? If you come to me, I don't want to talk about politics. This isn't about politics anymore, guys. Okay? It's not about politics. If you don't want to know what's not about politics, did you see the video of those children recognizing an ICE agent's car and running for their fucking lives from the bus stop?
Yeah.
Screaming and crying? These are 7, 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds who know what the fuck is going on. And you're going to bring, well, I'm not political. This isn't political anymore.
No.
Okay? They have taken our constitutional rights. They are out in the street being doing things like that to children. To children, they raided an Idaho um, track, and they had zip tied children that were there for this whatever. These guys are not human. They're ghouls. They're getting paid to do this, and a lot of them really fucking enjoy it. Ask the people who come out of detention. Some of those guys are being tortured, and no one's saying a goddamn thing. And you're talking about fucking left or right politics?
I had
No.
somebody recently tell me, I don't talk about politics. I'm not interested in politics. I said, okay, let's set politics aside. Let me ask you a simple question. Are you for the abuse of children? Are you for pedophilia, or are you against it? Which one are you for? Are you against it or for it? And they go, well, it's not that simple. Yeah, it's that fucking simple. It's that fucking simple. You either are for abusing children, pedophilia, or you're against it. It's the difference between good and evil. This isn't a fucking hard choice.
Are you for our civil rights?
Yeah.
Are you not? Are you for your due process? Because there are people out there that if you run across them, you have no due process. You are that mercy of that person at that time. And they're going to make decisions that could be life or death for you, which is not America. If you think politics is someone walking up and go, papers, please, then you don't understand, or you support it, don't want to say it. Okay? And I watch these far lefters. You guys make me sick because you talk about policy and all that. Well, they don't do what I want. No, 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 no. Okay? When it comes to the primary, I'm going to vote for the progressive candidate. If the progressive candidates lose in the Democratic primary, I'm voting for the Democrat. Period. Well, you shouldn't vote blue anyway. Really? Because I know the other one on the other side is just going to talk MAGA talking points. I know what they're going to do, and I know what that would put us.
Well, and the thing and the thing about it is after this is all done, and make no mistake, this is coming to an end. You can see the spiral, you can see the crash coming, and when it's all done and all becomes exposed, and the Republicans are shamed, understand if you we're not only going to ask you, did you vote for Donald Trump? We're going to ask you, if did you vote for the Democratic Party? And if you didn't, you're going to be shamed for putting our country in the situation it is now, just as much as the Republicans. And I promise you, when this all gets done and the Republicans hopefully are eradicated, I'm going after some Democrats, because we got some fucked up people in Congress. We got some fucked up people who put us in this position, and they need to be held accountable.
Right. We'll take care of business after we take care of the issue, after we get back our country. Okay? Because then we can do it at the ballot box legally without the interference we see right now. And also, because it's real important for everyone to understand that coming up in November, we really are in the battle for our republic. Okay? Because if we lose this election, it's over. They'll do anything they want at that point. Game over. Okay? They're already saying that, they're looking to find people who are talking about ICE to their social media. All right, so they can go after them with, I'm your Huckleberry, come on, whatever. I mean, I ain't going to last long in court. I don't give a fuck. But the thing about it is, it'll get worse. And it will become violent, because at that point, people will when they have nothing to lose. So you got to fucking think. Also, all the things you hear about the election, they're not going to pass the SAVE Act. That's dead in the Senate. That's fucking dead in the Senate. Okay? Even Republicans know won't help, because, as you said, we spoke earlier, it's not going to help Republican voters. They figured that out. Yeah. Okay? And so they're not going to bring it to the floor. It's done. John Thune knows that. He's not a dummy. Trump's going, well, then, just get rid of the filibuster. It ain't happening. They would have gotten the filibuster long ago. Okay?
You know what? I hope they're dumb enough to get rid of the filibuster. We would have to pass the SAVE Act probably, but come next January, when Democrats take over, then it's a fucking free for all.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
they are going to get rid of they know they're going to lose the midterm, so that means there's no way they're getting rid of the filibuster.
And also it's like we are going to have elections.
Yeah.
Let's all settle into that. Are they going to make it difficult for us? Yes. So we have to be ready to react to the difficulties. Kristi Noem came out, trying to salvage her whatever because, you know, playing hide the salami with your aide while you're both married is not sitting well with the evangelicals, even though, they're probably on Grinder every day. But the point being is she came out and they said, they asked her the question about ICE being at the polls. And she says, yes. She said that the Department of Homeland Security has to make sure that elections are okay and that the right people get elected. Okay. And everyone just went freaked out. Oh my God, ICE is coming to poll. No, they can't do it. And honestly, if they tried to do it, you don't know the amount of violence that's going to happen because you're going to push people so far. And if you do that, if you try to take people's right to votes, people are going to flip the fuck out. Because right now, what you see is still peaceful protest. But have you watched those kids go out on protest? Okay.
Right.
They've gone out on protest. The kids are all right. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. Okay. But there's a hardcore, I'm not taking shit from them. The video today, there's of the kids going out, and this one little punk ass bitch is standing there with a sign, I support ICE. Support ICE. Everyone's telling him, go fuck yourself. And this kid comes up to him and goes, you support ICE? He goes, yeah, I'm gonna punch you now. And the kid goes, and this is what I love because all these MAGA people are the same. Oh, you'll get in trouble. Okay, punch the kid. Security came out. Okay. And the kid walked away after punching him. And he turned to the security because you're going to stay with me, right, to keep me safe. Oh, now you're brave. All those guys, men who come up to students and try to confront them, they think the students are going to run. Oh, no, dude. They're on you. Texas. I've seen these in several places. And the piece de resistance was this two female conservative influencers thought they were going to go Karen or Mean Girl on these students. They came in and started sending their smile to Karen, talking shit to the students. And all of a sudden they got into one and people said, don't engage. She got him in the face of one girl, touched her, game over. They fucking dragged her on the ground. They hit her. They dragged her on the ground to the point that when she finally literally crawled away from these kids, the guy that was supposed to be with, he goes, where were you? They were supposed to protect me. All of a sudden it's tears. You guys don't get it. Now, let me make this clear. What you saw in Minneapolis and what you're seeing in Minneapolis is calm. Okay? What you're seeing bubbling underneath are kids that are scared, but they're not afraid of you.
Right.
You get it? I've seen ICE agents in Los Angeles. They were confronting ICE agents in Alhambra. And this guy came, and this lady screaming at this guy, The guy put his weapon in her forehead, and she looked up at him and just looked at him with crazy eyes. Like, do it. And the guy backed up because you don't fuck with crazy. He knew she wasn't afraid. There was another guy screaming at agents, and the agent, he goes, you don't want this. He went for his weapon. He goes, I'm not afraid to die for this. I'm not afraid to die for this. You guys out there who support ICE, who think that Trump or Trumpers, who think that we are scared of you, we're not. You're fucking scared of us. To use a line from Watchmen, we're not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with us. Yeah. And you're pissing us off. And it's not going to take very much from throwing dicks at dildos at ICE cars to become Molotov cocktails if you guys keep it up. That's the truth. That's who we are.
Well, you were talking about the influencers that try to go in there and make stuff up, and this is one of the things that bothers me all the time. We had them here in Minnesota. We had certain influences here doing good work, and other people just following around the fucking the fucking attention and the views and all this stuff. And these people, that influencer, she was true to her title, being an influencer, because she
Hmm.
influenced those kids to kick her sorry fucking ass.
You saw the video then I'm talking about that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
there was the other video where the guy was in the car and he comes out and he punches a girl, and then all these
oh,
teenagers drag him out of the car and beat the piss out of him.
yeah, the Texas one, and he got lucky because one of them got behind him on his neck, and he's lucky he was a little kid, but that kid was like hanging on. I listened to these children, then they know what's going on because they know that on the street they've seen it with their friends and their family. They're not stupid,
No.
and only the ones that are homeschooled or living in really tight, um, controlled areas are not like that. And the thing about it is that no one wants to go there. But today, I think we talked about earlier that Trump had in Mar-a-Lago, they had a Mexican or Latino party there, celebrated by the Latino conservatives, whatever. I mean, you guys make me sick. The mostly Cubans that they're deporting now, but whatever. And it's not what we saw on the Super Bowl a week ago,
Right.
which was a message of togetherness and showing cultures, right? No, it was all the fucking same tropes. Women in those big headsets, from the 50s with hardly any clothes, music, Trump dancing like a fucking pathetic animal. And I'm watching that. I saw that and I go, you know, he keeps doing this, and it reminds me of French aristocrats.
Yeah.
And what happened to the French aristocrats? Keep pushing
They
it,
ended up
people.
dead.
Yeah, keep pushing it. That's the thing I'm saying. We have been extremely peaceful, and we're actually winning this war. Okay, and I know it's going to get worse because you guys are flailing, but don't you keep pushing it, and you see the edges already, like in Los Angeles, in certain areas, where the pushback to ICE is not nice. So keep it up,
No.
and you're not, and the, and the pressure from the Epstein files. I'm just so hoping that it's going to. They had speculated that Trump has not played golf in 47 days.
I've heard that. Well, he hasn't looked good either. Did you hear that
Yes.
point where he was slurring ridiculously? I mean, it was bad. Like he had a stroke right
Did he
there.
fall? Didn't he fall asleep during the week standing fucking up?
I think so. I
I mean,
think
and
so.
and I just and this is, but again, they are so loyal to him. I mean, from the lowest dirt farmer all the way up to the highest oligarchs. These guys are fucking devoted for him. I thought it's because opportunity and money, but man, he really can't do any wrong because they need him. Um, I, I will when this is all over, and a lot of people who are now turning from Trump, they're asking for forgiveness, okay, or they want to get back in it. Guys, there were German towns near concentration camps, death camps. You knew what was going on, and you tried to hide it. Years ago, years after that, with the war ended, you tried to say that we were never part of the Nazi Party. Oh no, we didn't support them at all.
Yeah.
You did, and that generation had to pay a price for it later on. There is a movie from the 70s. It's a German movie, and I saw it, and I never forgot it. And it's called The Dirty Girl. And the reason it's called that, because this girl comes back to her hometown in Germany, and she's a journalism student. She wants to do a piece on what the town did during the war. And she started digging, and it was horrid. All these people were collaborators. There were even some SS officers amongst them.
Right.
And she put it out there, and they ostracized this child, this girl. They called her
Yeah.
a dirty girl in German because she was bringing up things they didn't want to think about. We don't want to talk about that anymore. That was then. This is now. I'll make this clear to all you fucking Trump-fucks, or you people who are supporting it in by doing nothing or collaborating. No, we won't forget, and we don't forgive. We're done forgiving. We're beyond that now. As soon
Yeah.
as we saw what's going to ICE, as soon as you didn't, you still making excuses for it. As soon as you started making excuses for the Epstein files, your forgiveness is fucking over, and we're done
People
with you for
people have
decades.
asked people have asked me, what are you going to do when Donald Trump isn't around anymore? I'm going to make certain that nobody ever forgets the people uh, that supported Donald Trump, whether they be politicians or people on Facebook. At this point, I try to expose them in every way I can, but these people are going to walk away with their heads down and act and hope nobody talks about it. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm going to be talking a lot about it because I'm going to
Yeah,
remember who was responsible when Jim Jordan or some of these other people that supported Donald Trump. Every time they run for election, I'm going to at least do my part to throw it in the narrative that this is a Trump humper, akin to a Nazi. He should not be elected.
yeah,
He should be out of politics.
and that's the thing. Right now, for everyone, we got to hold on to because it's just like every day. Like I said, it's another day in purgatory. It's not hell; it's purgatory because hell means
Right.
we have no hope. Purgatory, we're working our way out of it. Okay, that's the middle section if you
Right.
follow your lore. But the thing is, you can see it. You can see the crazy. You don't know what you're going to do with the crazy, but you see the crazy. Um, and it doesn't make sense. The reason it doesn't make sense is because they're just trying to hang on for dear life. I mean, Stephen Miller is hanging on for dear life because he knows when Trump goes, he's done.
Yeah.
JD Vance ain't gonna keep him around. It's not gonna work.
I don't think
And even
anybody on Trump's staff likes him other than Trump himself. He's there in spite of everybody else.
yeah, and I can't say that it's not gonna get. It's gonna get. DHS is not being funded. Probably won't be funded for a couple months. Probably won't fund it until the new bill comes out in September. It's a possibility. Will they run out of the money? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But they're going to continue their operations because there's some really horrible people who enjoy abuse.
Yeah.
And the point is, guys, you all got to remember this. Right now, they're buying, like I said, social circle near here where I live in Georgia, bought a warehouse. They're buying warehouses to house people,
Yeah.
to put people in. Warehouses are not designed for human habitation. And they're not going to put money, they're going to throw people in there. All
Right.
right. This is that's a warning to everybody of what's coming because they're not all going to start grabbing so-called illegals. They're going to start change to undesirables.
Right.
All of us.
With
And
regards to the shutdown, there's one other group of people that aren't getting paid during the shutdown: TSA, Coast
right.
Guard, DHS people, the ICE, and those people aren't getting paid. You know who else isn't getting paid? And I think they should just take some time off and go sit at home and take a vacation. Is the Secret Service? Let the Secret
I'm
Service
sorry,
fucking
Secret
go.
Service DHS? I thought it was Treasury.
That's I looked it up, and they're apparently under the purview of DHS.
Oh, they moved him from Treasury to Secrets to DHS? Holy
Apparently,
shit.
so they're not getting paid.
Ooh.
So, Secret Service, we don't need you. I mean, what could happen? What could fucking happen? Go ahead, take a
I,
break.
I mean, he doesn't go out anymore.
No,
He really doesn't. I mean, he goes down to Mar-a-Lago and that's it. He's not on the golf courses. he just sits around doing this thing. I will guarantee you, tomorrow morning there will be some fucking wild shit coming out of whatever Truth Social or whatever. It's going to be about the elections. It's going to be about the economy. It's just going to be crazy shit that we are going to have to deal with. Now, we know that the media doesn't give a rat's ass about us. When you read the media, and it's good for information, but you have to read between the lines. Um, Fox News is getting crazier and fucking crazier, and their
Yeah.
affiliates are getting nutso even more. They're trying, and it's these are things we'll have to deal with. And unfortunately, yes, a lot of people are going to get picked up. A lot of people are going to end up in these freaking detention centers. Some people are going to absolutely get harmed. But they're starting to turn on them. That lady who got shot 5 times, they found out, oh, yeah, that was the agents, and they suspended him. The person in Minnesota, they said they shot, that they ran into the house chasing him, found out those guys shot into a house and almost killed a child.
Yeah.
So these stories are coming out, and lawyers are really trying hard to help people. It's not easy. We know that. But I can't see this this psychosis keep going on, especially if the economy takes a dump.
Yeah.
Economy takes a dump, then it's all on at that point.
Well,
And
we're going to wrap things up, but
yeah.
before we do, we should acknowledge what today is as you're listening to this. This is
Oh, today is
President's
President's
Day.
Day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are we going to celebrate President's Day with the absolute worst president in the history of this country? I think there's going to be some funny shit coming out
Oh
today on
yeah.
President's
Oh,
Day.
Truth Social. Yeah. I mean, the Valentine his Valentine's message was ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah, his
and
Valentine message was that's interesting. With all this Epstein file going on, it said MAGA and truth, and it says daddy's home. What an inappropriate thing to put on a Valentine to the country when you're entrenched in the Epstein files.
oh god, it's. I mean, these people, these don't tread on me, people. But all of a sudden, it's like, but you can. Oh, please, sir, can I have another? I
Yeah.
mean, when did that's the hardest thing? When did not supporting our government or criticizing our government become a crime? It's not. JD Vance was talking about about the Olympics athletes being asked about situations, and they're being honest. Some are comfortable with it because of the flag. He's basically saying, "Shut up and do your thing." No,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, you're just following the line, and no one likes you, and you let Italy, because people told you to go fuck yourself to your face, if they could
Yeah.
find your face. Um, it's that's the thing I hate more about the hypocrisy of these guys is that they keep telling, "Don't tread on me, don't make me wear a mask. I want my gun anywhere." But now, literally, when we're going, "Don't tread on me," and I have a gun to deal with you, all of a sudden it's bad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on, guys, deal. That's
It's
why you're going to die. That's why the whole thing's going to die soon.
yeah, absolutely. Well, tell people where they can find you when you're out on your own here.
Again, TikTok is RJ127. You can find me there. Um, Substack and YouTube. Substack Binder 38 US, Substack, and then also YouTube Binder 38 US and YouTube. Find me a video on YouTube, like it, like it, and subscribe. On Substack, same thing, but I do have a paid subscription. It's only $8 a month. Nothing behind a paywall, but if you want to toss this old boy some money to kind of, if you appreciate work, I would appreciate it. Also, like Mike did, I've got a phone number. If you want to send me a text or a message, or text, please. And if you have any questions or something, a comment you want to have, you can reach me at 470-236-2403. No, I will not be answering this phone. I will just take the text. It does not tie to my regular phone because no, I don't trust you. Sorry, I know you guys will, but honestly, you can find me there. But it's always nice to start the week here, Mike, because next week is going to be quiet because Congress isn't in town. So
I don't know that it's going to be quiet, but Congress out of town will have an effect.
yeah,
There's certainly, but it'll be more time for Epstein shit
and
to come out.
two things I want to ask everyone to do to kind of remind you that this country is more than what we see right now because Trump sucks the air out of everything.
Yeah.
If you um, for President's Day, one look up. You can do on YouTube. Look up the Civil War, Ken Burns' Civil War, and the Gettysburg Address. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is a wonderful rendition by the actor. Listen to that, and then if you have Disney Plus, go to and find Hamilton and find the song when George Washington leaves, because in that song is his farewell speech before he left. And the reason I'm asking that is because that'll tell you the two things what makes this country great and two presidents that why we honor them. Because Washington knew about why he had to step away, how power could corrupt. And he was smart about that. And that's why he left after two terms, because he wanted to teach him you could step away. And then Lincoln, in the middle of a civil war, talking about the power of the people. So I recommend that to you, and I'm going to do the same because we have to be reminded that what we see isn't America.
Right.
It's been perverted by a rich dummy and his rich dumb friends. Okay, so take it home, and if you really want, don't get upset. If you want, one thing is that someone had ran a thing about Obama in a speech. Just a reminder that we can get back there. We just don't have to work at it. So I recommend that
Absolutely.
because just to kind of boil you up to know that the United States has not been like this for the last 10 years or these two terms. It's better than that.
Yeah.
And we're all part of it, regardless of color, creed, sex, or anything. That's
I
my
will say that
recommendation.
I will say this about President's Day too. I think some people are under the delusion that it's about all presidents. It's not. It was Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday, and there were two separate days, and all they did is combine those 2 days. This is more about like what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
Washington and Lincoln. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about anybody else. It's about two great presidents that we had that are honored, deservedly so, because of their great accomplishments and their influence on this country. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
just a
it's going to
reminder.
be interesting.
That's
Donald
a
Trump
reminder.
will want all kinds of accolades tomorrow or
Yeah, and that's
today.
the thing. We need that reminder because we're not only fighting MAGA, but we're fighting a lot of people who just don't believe in America anymore, who
Right.
think that it's over. No, it's not over. We just got to reset. We just have to reset back to not to where we were, but even better. But the core of who we are stands. Because the
Yeah.
reason people are fighting in the streets or screaming at these people, and you can hear them, Minneapolis or around this country against ICE, what do they say? These are my constitutional rights. The core is still there. It's just that some people have ignored it for their own power.
Right.
So don't give up on it because everyone understands who we are, and it's in that Constitution. And we hold on to it dear life. And why people come after us for it, we fight back because we know we're right. So, I mean, that's
Exactly.
the message on this with this holiday. I think we've got to remember that because it's easy to get lost in the doomsaying and the
Yeah.
stupidity.
It absolutely is. We're going to wrap things up with the Rational Boomer podcast. For those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.